lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. This video and build are special because I collabed with the wonderful SimspirationYT. You can find her in the description box. I'm also going to put her in the title. And we teamed up to build a spooky village on a 64 by 64 lot. I started off by working on a village, as you can see in this video. And in her video, she's adding a wonderful, beautiful, spooky manor. So head over to her video after this one so you can see how the whole building process continues. So here I'm working on the village, and then you go over to her amazing video and you watch her create the manor. The build is in her gallery, so if you want to grab the finished build, which includes the manor, go check out her gallery. Everything is in the description box, so please show a lot of love to SimspirationYT. Thank you so much to SimspirationYT for teaming up with me. Thank you for wanting to collab. I'm very excited, and yeah, let's see how I built the village. The idea was to have a very gloomy, spooky kind of build. SimspirationYT also showed me her vision for the manor, and I thought, okay, it totally makes sense to try something similar. So the village, of course, matches the manor, and it was a lot of fun to approach a build like this, to create a village and to leave some space in the back. And I was kind of scared that I wouldn't leave enough space, and I don't know, I always get carried away when I'm building and I'm always running out of space, so I hope that I did nothing wrong here. But my idea was to have a river, and I just used the terrain tool to create a river. I used the water tool, and then I used a lot of debug rocks to kind of frame the river so it's looking nice. I then used some of these stone walls from debug to have a nice wall around the path. In case you've watched my speed builds before, you know that I really like to have a focal point. So sometimes when I'm working on a mansion, I like to point out what's like standing out to me, what's the eye-catching feature. And if I would have built this on my own, the manor itself would have been the eye-catching feature, of course, and it is, like in the end result that you can see in SimspirationYT's video, it is the eye-catching feature. But because I just built the village, I kind of had to build without thinking of a focal point in my part, if that makes sense, which was a totally different approach and a lot of fun, but I still wanted to have some type of eye-catching feature in my part, and to me that's the river and the bridge. And you saw how I built the bridge, but in case you have no idea, I built a room and a floor piece on top, and when you then delete the room you have a floating floor piece. You can then use the arrows to bring it into the correct position, and I then used a debug item, which is just the bottom of a bridge. I placed it below the floor piece, and I then decorated it using items from the vampires pack and just different stuff to make it look interesting. And I think especially with this water swatch that I used, it's just looking so mysterious, and it also adds a little bit of color. I don't know, it's just looking so nice. I kind of love this water swatch. It looks as if they're like autumnal leaves swimming on top of the water surface, and I really like this. And yeah, just had so much fun creating this. I then started to add in some of the buildings, which is always difficult because you have to keep in mind that they have to be really small because you want to create a village and you need multiple smaller buildings. And yeah, here you can see the rock wall, which I mentioned, to frame the path. I just didn't want to have this cliff just sitting in the back. I really wanted this to look like some type of pedestrian path, but still really dark and gloomy. And I placed these autumnal trees everywhere just as a slight pop of color. And here you can also see the pumpkins, which of course also add a lot of color. And I just love to do this. You know what? Whenever I'm working on any type of spooky autumnal build, I just pull out all the pumpkins. I use the ones from the spooky stuff pack and cottage living. You cannot imagine how happy I was when I discovered that we got another pumpkin in cottage living. I kind of completely missed this, and whenever I was working on a spooky build, I only used the ones from the spooky stuff pack, but there's another one which is great. I used this gate from the vampires pack and brought it into the correct position just to add more details and For the little houses, I used a dark wood swatch. I really wanted this to be really gloomy. As I said, SimspirationYT showed me a reference, so I would know the vibe, and I really enjoyed this. Like, usually I was the one who would mostly add something later on in the collab, and then you already know what's going on and you just add to it. And I felt like really nervous to kind of start off because I had no idea if she would like it and everything, and it was like, it felt like a lot of responsibility to kind of lay out the terrain and the whole idea behind it, but I really enjoyed it. And the whole time I was so excited to see her manor and to like see her vision come to fruition. I was really excited. And again, thank you so much for doing this with me. I love spooky season, and doing a collab during spooky season is extra exciting. I really enjoyed this, and she's just the sweetest, so kind, so nice. So again, please head over there, watch the other speed build after this one, subscribe to her and show her all the love. She's just the sweetest soul. And yeah, here I'm working on the terrain. So here I'm laying out the area where she would build the manor. And again, I was kind of scared that it's not enough space, and the slope got really like steep in the back because I didn't want to waste any space by like smoothing it out, and I just placed a lot of debug rocks in the back to kind of make it look nice. And I then added another small build, and this one is going to be like a community building. I added different items just for hanging out and stuff. I didn't turn this into a residential lot, and when you grab this from the gallery, you can use this for rental units if you would like to. You could have this as a regular residential lot, and you could lock the doors, and you could have, for example, your family's butler live in one of the buildings. So even if you don't want to use for rent or don't own it, you could do different things with this. Yeah, I just wanted to have a tower in the back. I think I just wanted to add more medieval vibes, and I also wanted to have a taller building in the back, but I didn't want to build a big bulky house because it would kind of take away from the whole composition and the idea to have the manor in the back towering over the whole village. But I still felt like this area was so empty, so just having this little tower would be cute just for decorative purposes. And I then started to furnish. I want this to be very gloomy. I used lots of items from Life and Death. I just love the direction of the pack because it's really dark and spooky, but in a dark academia kind of way, in a very modern, realistic kind of way. The Vampires pack is amazing, but it feels kind of a bit over the top. It, like the cast and the item, it's giving theater, like someone dressing up, but the items we got in Life and Death, it feels more realistic to me, which, like, nothing is wrong with the Vampires pack, because the fact that it is so over the top is making it so amazing for fantasy gameplay. But I just really love the dark and gloomy realistic vibe of Life and Death, and you can see that it's really monochrome. I was totally leaning into the very dark aesthetic. The exterior is quite dark, and I just continued this on the inside. The only pop of color is probably this rug from Life and Death, but I had a lot of fun furnishing this, and because the houses are very small, I had a hard time figuring out the floor plan and how to furnish this. I also added a lot of diagonal parts, which makes small buildings look more interesting, because when you just have a teeny tiny house there, it just makes a village more interesting. But it's really hard to furnish these houses, and especially when you only have a diagonal building, you have a hard time placing the stairs, as you can here see. I did my best, but I mean, furnishing is generally not my strongest feat, but I really did my best here, and I just want this to be really luxurious and dark. I love this bed, one of the best items in the game. I also added a little fireplace here, so it's more cozy, some paintings, a mirror, just anything you would need, and I think it's so cute. I love it. in here, you can see the community building. So this is where your Sims could just gather and hang out and everything. And yeah, this video is almost coming to an end. So now, after checking out the screenshots, if you would like to, it's time to head over to SimspirationYT. Thank you so much once again for collabing, and thank you to all of you for watching this and for hanging out with me here. Leave a comment down below what you think, and check out the build in the gallery. The ID is SimspirationYT. You can find everything in the description box as always. So show her some love and yeah, let me know what you think. Here you can already see a little teaser of the manor, and we had so much fun together, and we hope that you enjoy this whole project just as much as we did. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you in the next video, and I hope I see you over at SimspirationYT in the comments section. And yeah, I can't wait to see you there. I love you all so much. Bye bye.